나처럼 groovy하게 나처럼 groovy하게.
So I was debating how long to make this list because there were a lot of albums I liked which were released this year. I originally had more on my list, but after I started writing my script, I kind of thought to myself, how many of these do I feel really passionate talking about? Which is why I decided to only share my top 7 albums from this year to discuss more in depth. Just because an album isn't on this list doesn't mean it's bad. This is completely based on my own subjective taste. Let's dive in. "2020 has been the year of retro comebacks, the holy grail of which would be Yukika's Soul Lady album. This album derives heavy inspiration from 80s Japanese city pop, and the soft melodic tracks provide a soothing window to the past. I feel like out of all of the numerous retro takes we've seen this year, this is probably the most authentic in its commitment to the era's musical and visual style. Several of the tracks were released prior to the album's completion, including Neon and Cherry's Jubilees. But the album sounds really cohesive, so I wouldn't have guessed it unless if I had looked it up. This is an example of an album which I just love to listen to from start to finish. I don't particularly have a favorite B-side from it, I just think all the songs sound really good together. There's a sense of romanticism and idealism which this album conveys, and it is a fantastic debut. If you're a fan of Red Velvet's Rêve Festival Day 2, I think you'll enjoy this as well. This was one of my most anticipated album releases of the year, and Irene and Seulgi certainly did not disappoint. While Red Velvet has certainly dabbled in dark concepts with songs like Russian Roulette, Peekaboo, and Psycho, Monster as an album conveys a much more overtly dark tone compared to the rest of the group's releases. The title admittedly took some time to grow on me. I will say that the style that they went with felt a little dated for an SM group. It sort of reminds me of Everybody by SHINee. However, the follow-up single, Naughty, definitely managed to capture my attention from the first listen. The upbeat, house-influenced track was a fantastic pop counterpart to the brooding title, and once again demonstrates the versatility and styles that Red Velvet is able to master. Diamond feels reminiscent of their older jazz-inspired Velvet tracks like Automatic. Lyrically, Jelly is a dark song, but it's covered by a saccharine veneer of pop to mask this. And, of course, Uncover is a beautiful addition to the album, which showcases Seulgi's phenomenal vocals. My personal favorite B-side was Feel Good. Despite the sinister message of the song, there's something about it which is very entrancing. Monster feels very unique to Irene and Seulgi as a subunit, and I think the mysterious, eerie theme suits them well. The reason why Day 6 is one of my ultimate groups is because I think there's a sense of relatability to their music which I haven't quite experienced with any other group. The Book of Us Demon seems like a fantastic midpoint between their previous albums in the series. Songs like 1 to 10 build off of that sense of joy and optimism from Gravity, while songs like Stop and Love Me or Leave Me maintain that sense of teenage rebellion from Entropy. However, the album feels distinct in its ability to induce empathy considering the current state of the world. While Zombie personally isn't my favorite title track from them, I can appreciate the message that the group is trying to send, and it feels much more personal considering how several members have been vocal about their own struggles with mental health. However, I'd argue that the true start of this album, a song I would almost equate to the ever-popular I Need Somebody, is Afraid. I'll admit it's not a song I find easy to listen to, but I think the composition does a brilliant job of conveying a powerful mix of emotions, and I want to highlight Sungjin's voice in particular on this track. His raspy tone is perfect for conveying its message. It's a song that signifies change is coming and change is necessary, but that doesn't make it any easier to let go of the past. The Book of Us Demon manages to encapsulate a wide range of feelings that feels like a genuine artistic expression of progression in life, both the good and the bad. TXT is a group whose music I've enjoyed since their debut, but I think this comeback really convinced me that their discography has the potential to be something special. Minisode Blue Hour maintains TXT's youthful, whimsical concept while still feeling different from anything they've released before. I still maintain that Ghosting should have been the title track. It has this ethereal quality to it which is reminiscent of Runaway, which is, in my opinion, TXT's best title track, but feels completely different in terms of the meaning. Each of the tracks manages to raise this mystical sense of wanderlust. While the title, Blue Hour, was probably my least favorite song from the album, I do think it perfectly suits TXT's image. We Lost the Summer provides a great contrast between the snappy, dance-worthy instrumental track and the somber message. My personal favorite B-side from this album is Wishlist. It induces yearning for a simpler time and creates an atmosphere of childlike enthusiasm and vigor. It's my favorite TXT album yet, and it makes me excited to witness how their image and discography will continue to evolve. I'm surprised it took so long for SF9 to release a full-length album, but I think it was well worth the wait. First Collection contains a solid group of easily palatable songs. While it's not their most sonically explorative album, I'd argue that not all music needs to be boundary-pushing to be good. Sometimes the best albums are the ones filled with catchy hits. I think the diversity within First Collection enables there to be at least a few songs that everyone can enjoy. Songs like Am I the Only One and Like the Hands Held Tight have a more moody, mellow aura without feeling cumbersome to listen to. On the other hand, songs like Beautiful Light and One Love have a lighter, more wholesome tone to them. Beautiful Light in particular was written as a gift for fans, a staple at the end of each SF9 release. My personal favorite B-side from the album is Fire. The combination of the pulsating beats and repetitive chorus makes the song oddly addictive to listen to, and I think it maintains a great balance between SF9's vocal and rap lines. One of the reasons why I love SF9's discography is because of how much versatility they've managed to demonstrate over the years, and this album is definitely a solid addition to it. In case it wasn't abundantly obvious by now, a.c.e managed to really impress me this year. The Butterfly Fantasy is definitely a.c.e.'s best release to date, and I've had it on repeat for the past few months. I think there's a great mix of songs on this mini. Golden Goose and Favorite Boys continue off of a.c.e.'s more intense, powerful concepts. Favorite Boys is probably my favorite title track of theirs. Okay, maybe it might be tied with Undercover, I'm still not sure. I love how they included elements of their previous songs within it, yet it feels completely original. One of my earlier complaints about a.c.e.'s previous title tracks was that they felt too in-your-face. I'm glad they ditched the headache-inducing beat drops for this release and instead went with the chanting. I felt like it was personally much more effective as a hype song. But I think overall I prefer the softer songs on this album. a.c.e. has one of my favorite vocal lines, and they were really able to demonstrate their capabilities in the album's second half. Baby Tonight is probably my favorite in terms of showing this. Their voices just blend together so beautifully, and I love their subtle harmonies and ad-libs. Stand By You is beautiful and comforting. I tend to get bored when listening to most ballads, but I think the bass and guitar in the instrumentals is what made this much more interesting. The pre-chorus of Clover in particular is absolutely gorgeous, and it's so sweet how much fan input they took into consideration while making it. This album made me really interested in a.c.e., and I'm hoping their next release lives up to the high standards they've set for themselves. I think it's surprising to no one that this phenomenal masterpiece of an album ended up being my favorite release of 2020. Dystopia, The Tree of Language, demonstrates Dreamcatcher at their best. It's true to their rock-inspired horror concept, while possibly being their most experimental body of work to date. The title, Scream, is the perfect introduction to the first full-length album. While it follows a similar structure to several of their previous title tracks, it has a completely different feel to it due to the EDM-heavy chorus. Every song on this album takes you on a journey. Their rock orchestral instrumental hybrid does a fantastic job of creating this almost cinematic listening experience. Tension and Sahara fit under what I consider to be Dreamcatcher's classic sound, building up to hard-hitting riffs and percussion in the chorus from the softer, more orchestral verses. However, songs like Red Sun and Black or White subvert this sort of structure, and the more minimalistic choruses feel more surprising this way. There's a great deal of exploration across genres in this album, ranging from the aforementioned rock sound to EDM songs like in The Frozen, even branching into jazz in songs like Jazz Bar. Despite this range, every song on the album feels very dreamcatcher, and it's because they're not just that nightmarish K-pop group. They're a group who can capture the attention of audiences regardless of genre, because every song of theirs tells a story. The more intense songs on the album fit the stereotypical image and sound, while these softer songs provide balance and give their vocals more of a chance to shine. This is the definition of a no-skip album. Every song here has a purpose, which is why I think it more than deserves the #1 spot on this list. Now that I've shared my favorite albums from this year, I'm curious to hear what yours were, so let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.